What's going on, everybody? Welcome into Blazers Uprise Live here on a Thursday. We got news to talk about today, Eric. It's not the best news. The Blazers have some injury updates for us to go over. Damian Lillard strained his calf last night. He has a re-evaluation date. And then we might have some news on Gary Payton II as well. So we'll discuss that. We'll discuss what the Blazers should do heading into tomorrow's game against the Houston Rockets and how they should deal with Dame's injury. Anyway, thank you to everyone for joining in with us today. Eric, how's it going, man?
Not too bad. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Had to sort out a couple technical difficulties right before this, but got your webcam showing up and ready to go for picks against the spread. Let's just hop straight into it. Here are the standings. The spreads today are brought to you by betonline.ag. If you want to get in on any of the action, on any of these spreads in this episode of Picks Against the Spread, you can head over to betonline.ag and use the promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, to get 50% rewards. BetOnline, where the game starts. You can get in on this action if you're feeling confident. Eric, here are the standings. Jackson cleaned up on Monday. He's 13-8. He had to do 2 double downs since his first double down was a push. He split those. You won your double down. I am struggling on double downs once again, but everybody's below 500 except for Jackson.
Yeah. When I was doing the records, seeing him at 8-2, I was like, oh man. And his only loss was his double down. So great day for him. Not so good for most of the rest of us. Chat was okay at 5-4, but still below 500, like you said.
Yep, absolutely. And then next Monday we'll have our favorite, what I showed you guys last stream. Just didn't have time to update that quite yet, but pick percentage, Jackson, 63% of his picks are right. Everybody else below 50%. Connor was the worst on Monday, 3-6. Chat, you guys went 5-4. Everybody else below 500. It's been a weird year to start the year, but anyway, let's jump into the first of 4 games. Chat, you'll be able to do a poll for your double down. BetOnline has the spread at Dallas being favored by 2.5 points as they head on the road into Brooklyn to take on the Brooklyn Nets. Eric, what are the injuries?
The Mavericks are without Davis Bertans and Frank Ntilikina. Tim Hardaway Jr. was questionable, but he is going to play. TJ Warren, Seth Curry, Markieff Morris, and Joe Harris all out for the Nets. Ben Simmons did tweak his back last night, but they're saying it's not serious and he won't be limited tonight.
I don't know if that's a good thing for the Nets, though.
Yeah. I don't know if it's just my feed, but the names are messed up on the...
On the what?
They're like the bottom of our names are off-centered or blurry or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I'll look into it. Hold on. Let me get the chat poll in there. Yeah, I don't know why that is. That's strange.
Distorted, I should say.
There. That's better.
Nice.
That's better. Okay, cool. Let me fix this as well. I need to come up with a new template for the slideshow because it was very skinny last week, so... But, yeah, got the against the spread records up there as well. And then let me make sure your camera's not completely messed up. Yeah, your camera was messed up. That's why I'm cutting off your head, Eric. That's not...
It's all good.
It's not supposed to be like that. All right, now we're good. All right, so I'm going to roll with the Dallas Mavericks.
Some people sent me their picks. I'm just going to get them all in here real quick so I don't have to keep going back and forth.
Cool. Yeah, I'm rolling Dallas. I'm not betting Brooklyn again. They burnt me last time. Chat right now, it's pretty close, 55% Mavericks as we speak. I'll still give that a little bit more time. Jackson going with the Brooklyn Nets.
Connor and Aeromancer are both on Brooklyn as well.
All right, Nets for Connor, Nets for Aeromancer. What's up, Jordan? How you doing? Zach says, why is Trevin so bad at this?
Trevin asked, why is Jackson so good at this? And then...
Zach says, I'm here. Eric, disregard my picks that I sent.
It's all good, Zach. I'll change them.
So, Eric, who are you going with?
Screw the Nets, man. I picked them the first 2 times. I think they've lost both of them quite handily, so I'm going Mavericks.
Yep, that's how I feel about the Miami Heat.
The Nets
too.
are going to win and screw me again.
Yep, I doubled down on the Heat twice, and it burnt me twice, so never doing that ever again. But then the Heat, of course, had to play well last night.
Yeah.
Finally. Zach is going Nets. And then we're waiting on Trevin, who goes Mavs. And Chat is going Mavs. Don't have to keep track of percentages.
Yeah.
Chat goes Mavs, and then Trevin, I said, went Mavs, right? I completely forgot. Yes, Trevin Mavs. Okay, that's game number 1. Split vote. Zach, Jackson, Connor, Aeromancer on the Nets. Me, Eric, Trevin. Chat. We're rolling with the Dallas Mavericks. All right, game number 2. We got the Clippers playing the Thunder once again in OKC. The Clippers are a 6.5-point road favorite.
The Clippers are without Kawhi Leonard, who got sent home with knee soreness. Marcus Morris looks like he's questionable. Thunder have Jalen Williams and Josh Giddey out of this one.
Paul George, you said, was questionable?
No, Marcus Morris is questionable. Paul George was questionable, but he is now in the lineup and expected to start.
Okay. All right, there's the chat poll chat. Yeah, the Thunder actually won 108-94 in their last matchup, but the Clippers did not have PG in that one.
Zach, Jackson, Trevin, Aeromancer, all Clippers.
Zach, Trevin, Jackson, Aeromancer. Clippers. All right, what's Connor going with? I'm going with the Fighting Norman Powells, even though he's been horrible this year. 8% 3-point percentage for Norman Powell. Oh, I got to fix these standings.
Connor and I are going Thunder.
All right, you guys are rolling with the Oklahoma City Thunder to beat the Clippers once again.
Not beat them necessarily, just lose by less than 7.
Or that. All right. You and Connor, and then chat is going with the Clippers. All right. You guys are on an island. Have we had an island vote once this year? I don't know if we've had a single island this year.
I think the first time Trevin had one with the Pacers, I believe. But I think that's the only one.
No islands is... Well, we don't have Krish, too, so that makes it harder to get islands. Krish was the island boy. All right. Game number 3. Let me hide those picks. Miami's taking on Golden State. In Golden State, BetOnline has the Warriors as a 6-point home favorite.
The Heat are without Victor Oladipo and Omer Yurtseven again. I'm not sure if they always do this where they might take someone out because it's a back-to-back, but they haven't announced any of that, so just be careful there. Warriors have Dante DiVincenzo out at least a week. And then Andre Iguodala, I don't know if he's suited up all year or not, but he's on their injury report as just resting or whatever. But he might be activated since DiVincenzo's out.
Yep. There's the chat poll. I'm not going with the freaking Heat again, all right? I'm not going to do it again. Not going to make the same mistake. So I'm going with the Warriors. I might as well just double down on the Warriors at this point. Just flip it around. Whoa, your camera's way up there. I don't know, that happened. There we go. That's better. All out of sorts. Still getting used to the new graphic setup. Even though I try to make it the same as last year, some of the proportions are different. What else we got in terms of picks, Eric?
Looks like Aeromancer is going Heat. Jackson is Heat as well.
Good luck with the Heat, guys. Now they'll do well. Warriors for Trevin.
I'm going to go Warriors with you guys. Zach's going Warriors.
Alrighty. And then...
Connor is Heat.
Alright, Chat's Warriors. Another pretty split vote. Jackson, Connor, Aeromancer, Heat, everybody else, Warriors. And then game number 4, we got the Memphis Grizzlies heading into Sacramento to take on the Kings. BetOnline has Memphis as a 2.5-point road favorite.
The Kings list no one on their injury report. The Grizzlies have Jaren Jackson Jr., Danny Green, Zaire Williams all out. John Concar is questionable.
Alrighty, let me post that poll. There you guys go. Alright. I am... This is a tough one. Memphis has 3-1, but it has a negative point differential because their one loss, they got absolutely blown out.
And Keegan Murray has been inserted into the starting lineup.
I'm rolling with the Kings. I feel like this is the day the Kings finally get their win.
Memphis for Trevin. I'm also going to take Memphis. Jaw's just playing too well. Connor and Zach are both Memphis unless... Oh, no, Zach changed his. Sorry.
Zach's Kings.
Zach is Kings.
So you and Connor are Memphis, and who else was Memphis?
Trevin.
All right.
You, Zach, and Aeromancer Kings.
Ooh, Jackson, you could make a pattern.
Jackson did... Or he went with the Grizz.
Oh, you ruined the pattern.
He had already voted before other people's.
Oh.
It was someone else's fault, I guess.
I'm disappointed. All right. We got Memphis. It doesn't matter. Or, no, chat went Memphis, so we could have had it. But me, Zach, Aeromancer going Kings. Everybody else going Memphis. All right, double down time. Those were our double downs from last episode. Miami burnt me once again. So, therefore, I'm going to double down on the team going against Miami, Eric.
All right.
And then if that doesn't work, then I will never double down on a game involving Miami ever again.
Yeah, probably a good decision.
Yeah, that's the mindset right now. So, Warriors for me.
All right. Aeromancer is going opposite you and taking the Heat. He's impressed by that win last night.
I gotta change the name on this. I still have Krish on Aeromancer's double down. As the Aeromancer's double down label. You said he's going Heat already.
And then Connor and I are on the Grizzlies. Trevin is joining us as well.
Wow.
Jackson's going opposite you and taking the Heat.
Alright, so Jackson's taking the Heat. And then you and who is the other person?
Trevin and Connor are all on the Grizz.
Alright.
Wow, Zach originally, when he sent me his picks, picked the Grizzlies as both his pick and his double down, and now he's switching he switched his
I
pick
got
to
the
the
chat's double down pull. So
he switched his pick to the Kings and his double down to the Kings.
Memphis, Warriors, Clippers, or Mavericks. Those are the spreads. So Grizzlies, Warriors, Mavericks, and Clippers are your 4 options, chat. I'll roll through the spreads once again. And once again, these spreads are on BetOnline, so you can also go there and look. So those are your 4 spreads. Zach went with what?
The Kings.
The Kings. All right, Zach. Respect it. Keegan Murray season. Been a true Keegan Murray fan from the start.
A lot riding on those last 2 games.
Yeah.
For double downs.
Yeah. Got the Grizzlies and Warriors in a deadlocked battle here, Eric.
Mm.
I'll give it like 10 more seconds. Get your votes in the chat poll for the double down. It's tied again. Do you guys want to roll with me or do you want to roll with Eric, Trevin, and Connor? That's your decision right now. Next vote that breaks the tie is it? It's 30% Grizzlies. Mavericks almost took the lead. They had a huge jump there. All right, but it is going to be the Grizzlies. So you guys aren't rolling with me. You guys are rolling with those bozos. Anyway, Eric, Trevin, Connor, chat, you guys are all feeling Memphis, which is funny because 3 of us picked the Kings. So this is going to be interesting. Zach's going against all you guys with the Kings, and then I'm going against Jackson and Aeromancer. I'm going Warriors. They're going Heat. I could not double down on the Heat again, so hopefully the Heat keep letting some of us down in terms of double downs. Anyway, that is picks against the spread.
Interesting that Clippers finished last in the poll, but it was their most confident pick in the polls at 77%.
Yeah, it's always funny how that happens. Anyway, that is picks against the spread. Okay, Eric, so we have news today. What do you want to start with?
I'll start with Dame.
So Damian Lillard's out 1 to 2 weeks, or he'll be reevaluated is the proper phrasing. Reevaluated in 1 to 2 weeks with a calf strain.
Yep.
Where do you feel like that'll land amongst that spectrum? Do you think it will be in a week? Do you think it will be in 2 weeks?
Well, first of all, he did end up having an MRI. It turned out to be a grade 1 sprain, which is the least severe, hence the 1 to 2 week timeline. So there's that, I forgot what Twitter feed it is, but there's some doctor Twitter feed that has what players with that diagnosis were out last year, and it was anywhere from 3 to 16 days for that particular injury. So I think it'll probably be somewhere, I mean, obviously between a week and 2. I don't really see him being out the full 2 weeks unless for some reason we win every game. But yeah, I think it's probably going to be about 10 days.
Yeah. All I'm going to say is, yes, I know it sucks, right? All this hype after the 4-0 start, and it's like, let's keep it going. Now Dame's out, and the Blazers have some hard matchups coming up, but you don't play around with calf strains, okay? Shout out to you if you remember one of the first post-game shows that we ever did. I don't know if you were on that one. I think it might have just been me.
I was on it, but you were just bringing me in after like you went on.
Yeah, on some sort of rant.
You would do an intro and then bring me on later.
Yeah. But it was after the Lakers game when Rodney Hood went down with his torn Achilles. I did a post-game show for that, and I ranted about it because he still had a sore Achilles, but they played him. Or no, he had a sore Achilles or a sore calf, and they played him. You just don't mess around with the calf strain because it can lead to problems with the Achilles. I'm not, going to put out negative energy out there and say, oh, well, this could or might happen if you rush him back too soon, but you guys can put 2 and 2 together. The calf is connected to that Achilles. You just don't rush him back until he's absolutely 100% healthy. Mm-hmm. There's no reason to. These are games that the Blazers are going to have a tough time in, but that's why it's nice that they won 4 games to start the year, right? I think it's an opportunity as well. An opportunity for Anthony Simons to get going being the guy. But then also a segue this into talk about this who should start. I think it should be a phenomenal opportunity to see what Shaedon Sharpe can do as a starting caliber player in his rookie year getting 30 minutes a game. Can he be an efficient 15-point per game guy in a starting role against some solid teams? Why don't we find out? Because he's played good enough to earn that chance, in my opinion. He's been solid on the defensive end for a rookie and a guy who didn't play in college. Offensively, he's been efficient this year. He's made the right cuts. He's knocked down some threes. He's finished well around the rim. And you got him playing off of Ant, Grant, and Hart, and Nurkic with his cutting ability that he's shown so far. I mean, I absolutely want them to start Shaedon Sharpe, Eric. Who do you think they should start?
Well, I agree with you that I would love to see Sharpe out there. This is, though, where that 4-game winning streak of last season will come back, and I think they'll roll with a lineup that's more similar to that and just still continue to bring Sharpe off the bench.
Is that what you would do?
No, I would.
You would start Sharpe?
I would probably start Sharpe. I think mainly just because of the fun factor of it. And it'd be cool to see him thrive in those conditions. But I don't know. I will be happy if that's the way Chauncey sees it, because think of what a confidence boost that will be to someone who's already had a nice role for the team. So I think that's maybe a way of saying, hey man, I like what you're doing. You're working hard out there. Now go show me even more. That'd be really cool. I'm trying not to get excited about it, so I'm not disappointed when Winslow starts at the 3. And
yeah, I don't want them. So they're going to be missing their best offensive player. I don't want them to substitute in their worst offensive rotation player in his place, right? Because even the starting lineup hasn't been smooth sailing offensively. Yes, defensively, Winslow makes a ton of sense, but I think Sharpe makes a ton of sense. Sharpe and Hart at the 2 and 3, I think is absolutely fine, especially given some of these teams coming up. And Sharpe, if he plays well, can replace a little bit of that offensive punch. But I think now without Dame, this team is going to need to play even more in transition, and I think the starting lineup can still play well in transition, and I think Shaedon Sharpe would be a great fit in the starting lineup, just being a lane filler, lob target, transition piece. He had a transition bucket and one last night against the Heat. So, I mean, his development is key for this team, not only this season, but in the future, right? We've talked about this, but it's a chance that he's earned, in my opinion. But then also it's just an opportunity to ramp up his development even more. Mm-hmm. So, if he had struggled, then yeah, it would probably help his development starting him, but he didn't necessarily earn it for a team trying to win games. But I think he's earned it. So I am going to be disappointed if it's not Shaedon Sharpe starting. And yes, you can mix up starting lineups and whatnot, but I want to see if he's getting 30, 32 minutes a game, what he can do right now. Because in 18 minutes a game or whatever he's playing, he's scored at a high rate and scored efficiently.
Yeah, I just don't know if that necessarily means he has earned a double jump in minutes, basically, by starting. You know what I mean? I mean, as much as that would be fun.
But Dame's playing like 37 minutes a game. Those minutes have to go somewhere. So you give Sharpe an extra, 14 to 16 minutes a game, and you sprinkle the rest elsewhere. Keon Johnson play him 10 minutes or so, and the rest can go to Winslow. It's not like Winslow's earned a big jump in minutes or the starting role either, in my opinion. Last night he wasn't as good as he normally is defensively. Winslow had been dealing with an ankle problem. But that's the thing, too, is I don't know, yes, you played well off Hart and Ant and Nurkic last year during that 4-game winning streak. He hasn't been cutting as much as he was. Last night, he just kind of floated around. Maybe that's due to the injury, but it's also a situation where you can always sub in Justice Winslow first and play him with that group. You can sub him in for Sharp. I just think showing Sharp that you're willing to start him just for that confidence boost, and it's not even like Shaedon Sharp needs a confidence boost, but just showing that you have the confidence in him to start him and give him more minutes I don't think that's a bad thing. So I also just think he's a better fit next to Hart, next to Grant, next to Ant, just because he can shoot the 3-ball. He's shooting 50%, small sample size, but on the season, he's 6 for 12, whereas Winslow's a second non-shooter out there along with Yusuf Nurkic, and when Winslow's not cutting, that becomes a problem.
Yeah, but maybe playing with the starters would help that. I don't know. Yeah, so there's finally some... I know Raptors like a horrible stat, but it's interesting just looking at it and seeing what that judges as our best players, both on offense and defense.
What's the results of that?
So Dame's been obviously by far our best offensive player, and it's not even close. The next closest is Josh Hart, who's 5.6 points behind him in Raptor, which is 6.9 versus 1.3. And those are our only two positive offensive players, according to that.
Yeah, I mean, Ant's going to need to step up and be that guy.
Yeah.
Which that's the other opportunity is like maybe Ant can get going for this season by kind of going back to the role he had when he broke out. This could be something that maybe is better for the team long term.
Yeah. And defensively, Nurk has been our best player, Little second, and Winslow third. Those are the only positive guys.
You said who, Little and Winslow?
Nurk, Little, and Winslow.
Okay.
And Shaedon Sharp, according to Raptor, like I said, you can't really... It's as Reese will tell you, it's very on-off. It's weighted very heavily for on-off stats.
Yeah.
So, according to this, Sharp is our second worst defender so far this year. And Drew Eubanks is first.
Drew Eubanks is our worst?
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, like, nobody's been really bad defensively this year. Like, Little's had some bad moments, but nothing, like, super egregious. Being the second worst defender on this year's team isn't the same as being the second worst defender on last year's team. But also, small sample size Raptor, can't read too much into it. But with Sharp, it's just like, for a rookie, I still think he's been solid. Mm-hmm. Even on an NBA level, if he's slightly below average as a rookie, not playing in college, that's good. Considering the context behind, him not playing in college, all that type of stuff that we've said numerous times that, I don't really want to repeat again. But just as long as he's out there giving effort, I'm fine with it. Because he's going to be if he replaces Dame in the starting lineup, I don't see him being worse defensively than Dame, and he's a little more switchable.
Yeah. I think going back to the Winslow versus Sharp argument, though, I think the whole mindset culture this year has been about getting the job done on defense. So I think that's why I think he'll lean towards Winslow, is just because lineups with Winslow have just been so much better defensively. So I think that's why they'll lean towards him, and just, I mean, like you said, they could do the opposite and just bring Sharp in first man off the bench quickly if we're not scoring enough. But I don't know.
Yeah. I think if they start Winslow, though, this starting lineup's going to struggle offensively. That's just my gut feeling. Like, yes, the defense will be better. I feel like they're going to struggle offensively with Winslow in the game. You got Houston, which should be able to beat Houston, but then after that, Memphis, then Phoenix twice, then Miami. All those games probably without Damian Lillard, and then you get into a stretch of games where Dame might come back, but it's in the middle of a 6-game road trip. You got Charlotte on November 9th, New Orleans on November 10th, Dallas on November 12th. That kind of sucks. That was supposed to be Dame's first game against CJ against the Pelicans, but the next game against the Pelicans is March 1st. They play the Pelicans March 1st, March 12th, and March 27th. So they might not get that game against CJ, his first game of his career against CJ. But I just got sidetracked looking at that. But against Miami, against Phoenix, I feel like they're really going to struggle offensively if they start Justice Winslow. Yes, it'd be nice to have Winslow to put up against Jimmy Butler, but Winslow didn't look good in the game last night against Miami.
Yeah.
And didn't really make a difference, so I don't know. It's tough. Chat, we did a poll last night. The majority of you seem to be in favor of starting Shaedon Sharpe.
I mean, Sharpe's definitely exciting. Of course, everyone wants to see him on the floor.
Here's another reason why I think they might start Sharpe. Sean Dawes has a good point in chat. Says, you bring in Winslow to take some of the point minutes. Yeah, the Blazers don't really have a backup point guard. I assume Keon Johnson's going to get some run, but he's not a natural point guard. Neither is Josh Hart. So when Anthony Simons is out the game, you probably want Justice Winslow in the game to help be kind of like a point guard by committee sort of lineup where you have maybe Josh Hart staggered to come back in with the bench lineup. So he can handle the ball some. Keon's probably going to play a little bit. He can handle the ball some. And then you got Justice Winslow who can handle the ball some. Now, you don't want to completely sacrifice shooting. So if you have Eubanks, Keon, and Justice on the floor together, that shooting can be iffy. So maybe you have to mix and match minutes to try and maximize both the shooting, but then also having enough ball handlers out there on the court with the bench lineup, since, you can't stagger Anthony Simons and Dame so that one of them's in with the bench because you don't have Dame. So that's something for them to figure out. That's a reason why I feel like they might still bring Winslow off the benches so he can help initiate some offense on a bench unit without a true legitimate point guard.
Yeah, I mean, everything you've said, including last night, makes sense. I just have a funny feeling it's not going to be the way they go about it.
Then again, I had a funny feeling that Sharpe wasn't going to play ahead of Keon on opening night, and then it was the first sub in. So, hard to say. We'll see. I think they go Sharpe. You think they go Winslow? We'll see. It's a crapshoot. Who knows? I don't even know if Chauncey knows yet. So, we'll see what they do. But the other injury news, Gary Payton II, Eric.
Yep. Real quick before we get into that. So Kyle Neely's saying that Yusuf Nurkic can't score 15 a night. Bro, he averaged 15 last year. And
that's the Nurkic hit I'm talking about.
I know. And so previous seasons of the Blazers, 17.6, 15.6, 14.3, 15.2. That's literally what he averages as a Blazer. I don't understand. It's just people just, oh man, I think I just unhid, man.
You did unhide. We got an NBA bot now.
But come on, Kyle. I know you hate Nurk, but at least give him the proper credit if you're going to bash someone. At least have your facts be correct.
Yeah. Yeah. He said, I mean, he can, but he won't. He says with this unit. I mean, I don't know. It's too early. It's too early. You're going to need him to step up and score. He's averaging over 10 points per game, and he's not finishing well. So, hopefully he starts to finish better. He's shooting 42% from two.
Yeah,
Nurkic's finishing needs to improve. But there's no basis to say he can't. He should get a lot of easier buckets playing off guys that can create. He just has to convert them. So, I mean, I'm not going to... He's averaging 10.8 points per game and not finishing well. So, I don't know. But we don't need him to be a 20, a 15 to 20 point per game scorer. We just need him to finish the shots he does get, rebound, play defense, and make the right pass. That's how I view Nurkic. So,
all right. So, let me just do some quick math here. Why is this not working? 31.
What, your quick math isn't working?
No, my number thing isn't working for some reason. 23 plus 32. Do you know what Nurk averaged points per game during our 4-game winning streak last year? In this lineup he's not going to score in?
Yeah, is he talking about this lineup without Dame, or is he talking about the lineup with Dame and Grant? But
don't know.
Nurkic averaged like 18, 19 points per game, I think, 20, somewhere right around there.
In the 4-game winning streak, he averaged 23 points per game.
23.
But no,
yeah.
15's impossible, man. It'll be.
Yeah, I mean, Nurkic has to finish better. Nurkic has been good defensively. Like, people will just say right now Nurkic is bad, but, like, he's bad in certain... Like, he's bad finishing. I don't know if he's bad anywhere else. It seems like people base how Nurkic plays solely off his finishing. Where, like, he can be setting good screens, playing good defense. Not, you know what I mean? But if he's not making layups, he's playing bad. I think he's playing okay because he's playing good defense, but he's finishing poorly. That's how I view Nurkic right now. Anyway.
One thing, too, is, I mean, we're not really, like, having to use him a lot. Because Dame and Ant are getting open off his screens pretty frequently, and they're playing a lot more off-ball to where they're getting open shots on kickouts from guards penetrating. Dame has been getting to the rim pretty easily this year. So, like, we haven't really passed to him a ton in the short roll like we had in previous seasons. So that's another thing is, like, I expect that to change a little bit now that Dame's not in the lineup.
Yep. Taylor asked, does missing a bunch of easy layups not frustrate you guys, though? I mean, you have to admit it can be rage-inducing. It's frustrating.
Absolutely.
For sure. It's frustrating for sure. You know, I haven't felt anything rage-inducing all season long. Like the bad outlet pass he had, I think in Sacramento was really frustrating just because he threw it right to an opposing player, but we've had a couple of different guys do that so far this season. But, like, I'm not going to come on here when he's playing good defense, like doing other things well, rebounding well, setting good screens, but just missing layups. I'm not going to sit here and rage about him if overall, like, he's okay or just, you know, he just needs to finish better. And he finished better last year. If it was a situation where he struggled last year, sure, but people don't give him credit for improving. He went from 52% from 2 to 56% from 2 last year when he didn't get to play with Dame, who sets him up with some of his best looks. So, you know, it's a small sample size. If this continues, like, then it might be a problem. But given the fact that he shot better from 2 last year, he was finishing better last year, I'm not going to overreact to a 5-game sample like that, you know. We'll just see where he's at 10 games from now is kind of how I'm looking at it. And, you know, if he's still struggling to finish, maybe it's a situation where once you get around the trade deadline, you see what's out there. The problem is who are you going to replace him with? And who's worth replacing him with? Who's worth giving assets up for at the center position? Mm-hmm. Because whatever center we get, we're probably just going to want him to set good screens for our guards, rebound well, play some solid defense. You're not going to get Rudy Gobert or Joel Embiid or like one of those elite defensive centers. Or Robert Williams, you're not getting Robert Williams. So basically it's like what? You're going to give up assets for a center that you just hope finishes better?
Mm-hmm. Well,
it's not really worth giving up assets for, I don't think.
Yeah, I was a little frustrated with, I think it was the first play last night. We ran a play, Nurk in the post, like we often do, first play of the game. And he had Dame wide open across court in the corner, and he threw it right to his guy who was setting it off like he didn't even put enough touch on it. But like I mentioned last night, he was 2 for 7, but at least 3 of those were ones where he just got a hand on it, tipping the ball, trying to go towards the rim. And I'll never get frustrated with those not going in. The ones where he has open layups and he misses them, those are definitely frustrating. And I for sure need him to do better on that. So hopefully he is one of those guys who steps up his game and takes it upon himself to be more locked in when he's, having to compensate for Dame being out there. But just another blind hatred from the same person. His screens seem a little half-assed this year, Tori. Seems like he is rolling a bit early a lot of the time. Like, you're just making stuff up, Kyle. Just stop, man. Like, before last game, he was first in the league in screen assist. I think it fell to third because He didn't play most of the game, but screen assists per games, he's third currently in the NBA. Um, uh, and there's a reason why Dame and Ant have been getting such good looks. They run a lot of screens for not only pick and roll, but they've been doing a lot of work with Nurk screening off ball for those guys too, and it's working a lot. Now the guards, I mean, Dame's hitting a lot of his shots, but Ant's still struggling outside of, um, obviously the Denver game, but yeah, those things will come, and that doesn't have anything to do with Nurk not setting as good of screens.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, Nurkic's screens seem fine to me. I don't really see that,
I mean, there's definitely stuff to criticize him for. His finishing has been awful, and he needs to improve that.
Yeah, I just feel like, I feel like people. I feel like people sometimes want to be critical of him, so they'll like look for things to be critical of, and then maybe his screens aren't perfect, so then it's a problem. But yeah, the dude clears a lot of space. The dude's screens, I think, have been fine. I mean, you don't have 7 screen assists a game for nothing, or whatever he has so far this year. So yeah, I mean, he just needs to finish better is really what it is. Like, we can nitpick his screen setting and talk about if he's setting great screens or not great screens, but you just gotta look at the space Dame gets off of him. He gets space. But here's the thing, is as a big man, a lot of times if teams are trapping, you want to roll early. Because what are you going to... If Dame's being guarded, let's just we'll talk about GP2 in a second, all right? Let's just have a little, like, basketball conversation here. If Dame's being guarded and running a pick and roll, and he's going to get trapped, what's the point of, like, really screening his man if he has a second defender that's just going to come up and trap him? They're like, you're not going to free him up by screening his man really solidly if he's getting trapped by the second guy. Okay, and if anything, if you sit there and hold that screen as Yusuf Nurkic while Dame's getting trapped, that trap is going to be able to close the space and really hound Dame, and then he might not have a pass out of it. So as a big man, when you're setting a screen on a guard and defenses are trapping, a lot of times you want to slip that screen or roll early so that as your defender comes up to trap, as that second guy comes up to trap, Nurkic slips past him, and then it's a bounce pass between the two guys before they're able to get all the way to Dame. And then Nurkic has a 4-on-3 with the ball on the backside where he can, drive, Eurostep, finish. Hopefully he needs to do a better job of that, but if he collapses the defense, kick out or hit a cutter or that sort of thing. So if you see him maybe not holding a screen or rolling too early, it could be because teams are trapping Dame, or that's what they're expecting, and that's what you should do as a big man, is slip screens or roll early when the pick and roll ball handler is being trapped.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the thing, is so many things are situationally dependent. You don't want to hold that screen necessarily depending on how they're running the pick and roll. Shout out to Pim, $5 donut, says, if you want to get all the ladies in Serbia, you wear a Nurk jersey. Yeah, you probably also look like Nurk as well. That probably helps. Thank you, Pim Araz, for the $5 donation. All right, Gary Payton II, Eric.
Yep. So nothing is official yet, but today is his reevaluation day. And from what I have heard, I normally don't post this unless I have like a second confirmation, which I got on this. So multiple people would have to be wrong for this to not be true. So I feel pretty confident in saying it, even though it's not confirmed, that it's still going to be a few weeks until he's back. At best case scenario is probably 2 more weeks.
So 2 more weeks would be like Spurs on November 15th. 3 more weeks would be... There's a 4-game road trip 3 weeks from now. That's an East Coast road trip. So he would probably travel with the team and could suit up. But like very late November is my guess. How do you view this upcoming stretch of games, Eric? Like, how do you view, like, the mindset? What should the goal be coming out of this tough month of November with these injuries, given the fact that the Blazers are 4-1?
I really hope that this lineup can do what Dame said last night, and it's a good test for them to see where they're at without him. I feel like we're in pretty good shape. I have confidence that Ant will take over and play more like he did last year, without that pressure of trying to fit in with what Dame's doing. Now, it's still important that they get to being the best versions of themselves on the court at the same time. As we saw in the Denver game, how easy the game of basketball is when that happens. But yeah, so I'm optimistic. It's just a bummer that we're playing such hard teams next week, because I feel like those would all be tough games with our full lineup, and not having Dame. Those are going to be really hard. So I think you hope you split the 2 Phoenix games, I guess. You hope you split the Heat and Grizzlies game. You hope you win Friday night. So, like, 3-2, I'd be happy with. I'll take that right now. If we could say we could go 3-2 over the next 5.
3-2 over the next 5. Yeah. Longer picture, like, just come out of November with a 500 record. Mm-hmm. I know that seems like low considering we start 4-0 and we look really good and everything, but given these injuries plus how hard the schedule is, if we come out of November with a 500 record, we're completely fine. Yes, the attitude around the team, especially from people that don't pay a ton of attention to who we're specifically playing, is not going to be as hyped up or anything, but we'll have Gary Payton II back. This stretch of games is just try and win as many as you can, obviously, but then also just keep working on instilling a better style of play more consistently, because last night the Blazers struggled at times with physical defenses in terms of moving the ball. They had 19 turnovers. Like, there's still things that they can work on to be a better team that they should be able to get experience with in-game against some of these tougher opponents, right? Mm-hmm. Like, even though it's going to be a struggle, given the injuries in the opponents, it has to be an opportunity to get better, so that once you have your full complement of players and an easier schedule, you're able to rattle off a bunch of wins, because that's how the schedule shapes up anyway. Mm-hmm. So I did my schedule breakdown this past offseason. If you guys have watched videos like that in the past, I predict records for every team. I don't include in the video, but I predict a record for every team and then look at like how a 500 caliber team would perform against the strength of schedule. Whereas like if it's a team projected to be over 500, it's a loss. If it's a team projected to be below 500, it's a win. Okay. A 500 team would be 5-17 after the month of November, based on where I projected teams before the season. Now, of course, projections change slightly, so take that with a grain of salt. But that's how hard. Yeah. But that's how hard our schedule is. Mm-hmm. A 50-win team, I had them at 9-13, and this is just based off the math with the predictions and of a 50-win team. 9-13 after November, 19-16 after December, 31-19 after January, 37-24 after February, 48-29 after March, and then 50-32 after April. 50-win team. 9-13. That would mean the Blazers go 5-12 over the next 17 games. I think that's doable. So even if we're sitting here a couple games below 500 at the end of November, it's not a bad thing. I mean, we play so many tough teams, so many road games. It's ridiculous. We have a 6-game road trip. We come home for 3 games. Then we have another 4-game road trip. We play the Bucks, the Cavs, the Nets twice, the Pelicans, the Heat, the Suns twice, the Grizzlies, first home game of November.
That's brutal.
It's brutal. We at the end of the month, Clippers, Lakers, maybe they figured things out. I mean, it's tough. But here's also the other positive, Eric. These bottom feeder teams are more likely to be truly tanking later on in the season than earlier in the season. Mm-hmm. They're probably going to be easier wins later on in the season. I'd almost rather have a tough early season schedule.
Yeah.
So.
And yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's like last night. Like if Dame was hurt, we'd lose anyway, right? Like what does it matter? That was a hard game that would have been tough to win either way. So, I think it's pretty much almost, I mean, if Sharp starts or whatever, plays 30 minutes like you want him to, and he plays really well, then that could alter things, of course. But in my mind, all the other players have been doing a good job of their role and what's expected of them, and, you know, not trying to do too much outside of their skill set, outside of maybe a couple of Winslow spot up 3-point shots. But for the most part, they've been doing a good job. So this all comes down to me on Anthony Simons. If he starts taking over and averages what he came close to averaging as a starter after like January 1st or whatever it was last year, I think it was like a 20-some game sample size. If he plays like that, Anthony Simons, we're fine. And we can upset a lot of these teams, and even on the road can win some of these games. If he's still struggling shooting the ball and trying to figure out his shooting slump or whatever, we might be in a little bit of trouble.
Yeah. But I mean, I feel like Blazer fans are just too down on like they've been conditioned by the struggles of this organization to be too down when stuff happens. Like, I see people just so upset that Dame got hurt. Yeah, it sucks. Yeah, I wish Dame was playing. Absolutely. But view it as an opportunity for a guy like Shaedon Sharpe. View it as an opportunity for Ant to get going. View it as an opportunity for this team to not be solely reliant on Damian Lillard like they have in the past, right? To be able to build more trust in their style of play, and maybe they can get things done without one of the best players in the league. And it's an opportunity that, I mean, it's a tough early season schedule. They already have 4 wins in 5 games, so they're already off to a good start, a better start than I expected. I was worried they could start 1-4, right? We're 4-1. So that's how I'm viewing things. And that's how I feel like every Blazer fan should view things. Hopefully Shaedon Sharpe gets to start. If not, he should get more minutes, and that could be great for his growth and maybe, makes him a better player later in the season when, we're going on a playoff push. So there's some good that can come out of, Dame being hurt. But then, it would be nice to have Gary Payton II back sooner. I'm kind of bummed out about that. Mm-hmm. But he'll be back at some point as well. So,
I heard there's, people questioning maybe they should rush him back if we don't have Dame, but I don't think, for the most part so far this year, they have not had the same mindset they've had in previous years where it's like, oh, we have to win every game, we have to do this, we have to think about what happens if we lose 3 in a row, it's the end of the world, that type of thing. So measure it, what's more important, having all these guys later in the season for a playoff push, maybe a playoff run if you have things clicking, or playing against the Houston Rockets on a Friday night at the end of October, right? It's not a case where we need to rush these people back. Like you said, even if we do go on a bit of a stretch where we struggle, it's not the end of the world considering how the schedule plays out later in the season.
Yeah, and guess what? If this team actually wins some of these games without Dame, without Gary Payton II, and it's due to Sharpe going off, and the Blazers are able to come out in November a couple games above 500, maybe 3, maybe 4 games above 500, we're sitting pretty.
We're talking about a special season.
Yeah. That's the thing, and this team has the chance to do that. Mm-hmm. So it's just perception, It's just 4 games to start the year fun. The vibes in these post-game streams were immaculate. These post-game streams over on the main channel, most successful regular season post-game shows ever. Almost hitting 1,000 concurrent viewers. All that stuff is fun, man. I wish we could have that for every post-game show, but that's just not the reality. So, we're gonna trudge on through and see how this team does. They take on the Houston Rockets tomorrow. We previewed that game a little bit at the end of last night's post-game show, so if you want a preview on that, definitely go and check out that post-game show. You can, or Zach did timestamps in the comment section, so you can go look at those. Thank you to Zach for doing those. We greatly appreciate it.
Thanks, Zachary.
Anything else for the stream, Eric?
We still have a couple of
donos.
Donations. Yeah. Let's get to those.
Gray Hughes Investigates $5 donation says, when Nurk gets limited touches, he is less effective and the team isn't as good. When the offense goes through Nurkic, we play great. Thank you, Gray Hughes, for the $5 donation. I think when we run sets to get Nurkic good position, he plays better. The thing is when we don't play through him as much, when we do try and post him up, I feel like a lot of times we just try and throw it straight into the post, which is what we were doing last night, and it's harder for him to get to a spot where he can comfortably finish.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why I mentioned this earlier, that we seemingly give him a touch in the post very early in games. It's because there's certain players that do better. I wish Nurk wasn't like that. I wish he would play the same whether he's getting 10 touches or 0 touches. But he's one of those guys who needs to have the ball to feel like he's making an impact and be part of the action. And he is very skilled with the ball outside of that finishing problem. So as long as I feel like he's done a better job of not turning the ball over as much this year as well. So, yeah, I mean, in those situations, you'd like him to be a little more aggressive on the offensive rebounds maybe and just focus on that. But there is absolutely a correlation between how much he's played through and how many sets we run involving him, even if it's just passing it to him in the horn set on the top of the free throw line or whatever. That those little things do feel like he is getting more involved in the game when he has a lot of those. So I do agree with that.
Yep. And shout out Coleman Schleiss. Shout out to Coleman for the $10 donation. Says, appreciate the level-headed take. It's easy to get wrapped up in such a strong start, but also good to prioritize the growth. Thank you, Coleman Schleiss. Sorry, I'm struggling to say your last name, man. Thank you for the $10 donation. Yeah, trying to stay level-headed early on in this season. I know for those who have watched this for a while, that might be a little bit weird, but just trying to be reasonable and logical about this Blazers season. Anyway, Abraham King is not. Abraham King is 5-minute timeout. Stop trolling. Good old troll to end the stream. Thank you for the donations from Pim, Gray Hughes, and Coleman. Anything else, Eric?
Ray Gunn was asking where we're from. Tori lives in the Vancouver area. I live West Portland in the suburbs. So, yeah, that's where we're from.
Yeah.
Both from and live currently.
Yeah. Anything else? I don't know. I'll follow that up. You're welcome, Sam. Thank you for tuning in.
Another good question, but
thank you for telling them to leave a like. The viewers should leave a like. We'll have the post-game show tomorrow.
No, I am not rich. I couldn't be further from the truth. I actually live out in an area just outside where it's it's not like the city or anything. Reese asks who's the best player in the NBA so far. Do you have an answer to
that? No. No.
I think it's Ben Giannis, and it's not close. He's averaging 36 on 67% shooting.
Yeah, but they've only played 3 games too, so
that's true.
Yeah. Anyway, is that your final?
Yeah, thank you for watching. Hope everyone has a great day, and we'll hope to catch you on the post-game show after hopefully a Blazers victory over the Rockets tomorrow.
Yep, and thank you to Bet Online for sponsoring this stream. This has been Blazers Uprise Live, brought to you by Bet Online. Still some time to get in on any of the actions of any of the spreads that we showed earlier in this game with picks against the spread. Good luck to everyone. The first game just tipped off. It was at 4:30. So we'll see how those games go tonight, and then we'll have a post-game stream tomorrow. Eric dropped a mailbag yesterday on the main channel. You can still check that out if you want to. It's slightly out of date, but still some good listening. A good video by Eric. And he talked about when he thinks Shane Sharp will be the full-time starter. Now, unfortunately, we have to have the conversation. Yeah, now we have to have the conversation is he the starter right now because of injuries. So we'll see how this Blazers team does tomorrow without Damian Lillard. We'll see who they start in his place. We'll have you covered with the post-game show once again tomorrow night. Thank you to everyone for tuning in. We're out of here. We'll catch you next time. Until then, as always, peace out. Go Blazers.